This is Chief Warrant Officer 4 Victor Pinion, U.S. Navy, retired, telling some stories of my naval career. Well, this one is a continuation of developing infrastructure, maintenance support infrastructure for V2 Division aboard that ship. I would do a walkthrough inspection myself, personally, every morning of the catapult rescuer after the crew had done their pre-op inspection. Well, I included an inspection of any maintenance work that had been done the night before, and I would check, make sure everything's done properly, and bolts have been safety wired and so forth, and everything's done right. I found many discrepancies, many discrepancies. The petty officers had not been double checking their crew's work and so forth. They just letting things slide. So I would bring it up to the person at the watch station man, who that's his workstation. When I found it, he would probably still be there, and I would show it to him. Hey, you greased this grease fitting. You didn't wipe the grease off of it. You got a big glob of grease hanging on there. Well, wipe it off. Bring a rag where you wipe it off. All kinds of little stuff like that. Or you didn't safety wire these bolts, or you didn't put the safety cage back on here, or on and on and on. But then I would be sure to tell the petty officer that was in charge of that specific machine, and I would tell the work center supervisor every day before the first operations of the day. Well, they resented that big time. I mean, the previous maintenance officer had never done that. Nobody had ever done that. Well, I did, and I'm convinced, personally, that it prevented accidents. I'm certain of it, because some of those discrepancies I found were accident imminent. Well, one of them, I was watching the first recovery of the day. I was in the engine room watching the number 2 arresting gear engine constant runout valve when it took a hit, and I looked up and I saw the master link on the constant runout valve drive chain quivering. It didn't have any cotter pins in there that held it on. It was just stuck on there, and it was quivering. Had that link fell off at a certain point, the chain would have fell off the sprocket, and we would have two-blocked that engine, broken a wire, probably killed or maimed people on the flight deck, and lost the airplane into the water. It's that serious. I downed that engine right there, and we put the cotter pins in. So I wrote up this pre-operation inspection, key points, from things for me to look at. I found so many. Then I do it in the order that I wrote it, and I made it out where you enter the engine room. I start inspecting from that engine all the way through until I come out the other end, and I had looked at a whole bunch of specific things. I found a number of others that could very possibly and even probably have caused a loss of aircraft accident, and corrected them. One day, I was doing a PMS spot check for a monthly check on one of the arresting gear engine's constant runout valve, where the maintenance man is supposed to open up the constant runout valve and check the drive pins for signs of them shearing. So it's an airman has been assigned to do the job by his work center supervisor. And I'm with him, and I make sure he's got the maintenance requirement card and he's got the proper tools and everything. And he didn't attempt to open the thing up. He just looked at some heads of some pins there, and he, well, it's good to go. I said, no, it's not good to go. And I read the card with him, the maintenance requirement card, where it required that you remove some bolts and open that motor unit up and inspect these drive pins for signs of shearing. And then we did it in accordance with the card, and lo and behold, the hair on my head stood up. Both those shear pins were about 50% sheared, meaning they're almost gone. Their failure of them is imminent, and should they have failed, it most likely would have cost a broken cable, loss of aircraft, fatal, and major injuries of people on the flight deck. I was so shook up by that I had all of the arresting gear engines drive pins inspected that night. And of course it pissed off the leading petty officer of the arresting gear crew, but I made them do it. We found another engines were partially sheared also. We had 2 of the 4 engines had partially sheared shear pins, drive pins. They were not shear pins. They were not supposed to shear. If they did shear, it would cause a very serious accident. Okay, I'm done with that. Except now I'm sure that I have to, because they've been gun decking this check. They haven't been doing it. They've been glancing at the wrong pins and okay, it's done. And they've been gun decking many of the preventive maintenance checks like that. They didn't read the cards. So I forced the issue of them doing it. And I got the V2 division officer. At this time, it was Lieutenant Hank Davison. Good officer, fine man. Still a friend of mine to this day. I had him, and I was talking with him about it, and he would on these walkthrough inspections with me, and I would show him what to look for. And so now he could do some of it, and I could do the rest. I didn't have a maintenance chief. I decided I need to write, design, create a quality assurance inspection program and get a couple of petty officers and personally train them in how to do it. So I wrote this QA program out. My own ideas, what to do and how to do it. I did invite the work center supervisors and the chief to do it with me, but they just didn't. They just didn't. Merkless helped, but the other first class petty didn't, because the chief didn't, because they were under the chief's authority and wing. I instituted the program. It turned out that the chief, and now we had 2 chiefs, and they were both, neither one of them liked me, and they both and this arresting gear officer transferred off the ship at the same time. They had been my primary nemesis and resistance to about everything I did. Well, my QA program worked extremely well, and we went through a type commander once every 4 years ADMAT inspection, and he was walking through the arresting gear and he saw some factors of my QA program, and he asked petty officer, he said, "That's Bosun Pinion's QA program." He said, "Would you take me to him?" So he brought him to me in my office. He asked me, "You got that in writing?" I said, "Yeah, just what I've written." And I see it, so I opened my desk drawer, I handed him a copy. He read it, he got all excited. "Can I have a copy of this?" I said, "Sure, you can have that one." He took it back to come to AirPAC with him in San Diego, and they wrote a letter from AirPAC to the Commander Naval Air Systems Command and included a copy of my QA program and recommended that something like that be developed throughout our technical community. Well, guess what? It was. It became standard on every aircraft carrier. And guess what? It took a few years, but it became standard throughout the United States Navy in this 3M preventive maintenance requirement program. Y'all carry on.